Sentence delivered.
The court imposes a sentence of life in prison
As Parkland Strong parents begin their next chapter. Focus on the midterm elections.
This is the year you can make a difference.
With only 4 early voting days left. And another change to interest rates as recession fears climb.
That the ultimate level of interest rates will be higher than previously expected.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Good morning, South Florida. I'm Kenya Cardone.
I'm Paloma Pimentel. Today is Thursday, November 3rd, 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Inmate Cruz ushered away from the courthouse for a final time, this time wearing jailhouse orange. Today marks the first of a lifetime behind bars for the Parkland murder.
Judge Elizabeth Scher carried out the jury's recommendation yesterday, sentencing Nicholas Cruz to life in prison without the chance for parole. In 2018, Cruz carried out the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, killing 17 people and injuring 17 others. Also, he is ineligible to financially benefit from the crimes.
He's remanded to the custody of the Department of Corrections. And he's to be given credit in the amount of 1,718 days time served.
Cruz was spared the death penalty because jurors were unable to reach a unanimous decision. A newly released 911 call reveals heartbreaking details from the Uvalde shooting. In the recording, survivor Clone Torres pleaded with the dispatcher for help as her teacher and many classmates were shot inside a 4th grade classroom at Robb Elementary. The call confirms the lack of response from law enforcement officers who failed to take the active gunman down, as 19 children and 2 teachers would later lose their lives.
The Border Patrol says there has been a massive influx of migrants arriving to Florida shore. Florida Border Patrol reports almost a 300% increase in migrants arriving by boat over the past year. The landings that have taken place over recent months involve primarily Haitians and Cubans traveling on makeshift boats. Cubans intercepted while coming to Florida say they are fleeing exacerbating conditions on the island.
Big ballot items in next Tuesday's midterm, especially for voters in Miami Beach. As the network's Milena Malaver reports, one of them involves a parking area near the Lincoln Road Mall.
The North Shore Branch Library will be serving as an early voting site during the 2022 general election until Sunday, November 6th. And here, Miami Beach residents will be able to vote on 8 referendum ballot questions.
This year's ballot includes referendums 4, 5, and 6, which entail the leasing of public parking lots on Lincoln Road to private developers for the construction of commercial use buildings. The lots in question are located on 1664 Meridian Avenue, 1688 Lenox Avenue, and 1080 Lincoln Lane North. Some local residents and businesses fear that the over-commercialization of Lincoln Road will harm the community.
Well, it's not a good idea because we really need parking lots to the business. Our clients, they need to come, then they need to have place to parking the car, and this way they don't need to walk and drive around looking for parking, and that's going to affect really bad the business.
While others are excited to see developments, hoping they improve South Beach for both tourists and residents and encourage voting yes on the referendums.
You know, South Beach has had its issues, and we're trying to resolve those issues and to make it safe for tourists to come. And not just tourists, but the residents themselves that live in South Beach. You know, the residents are here all year round. And so, you know, they see more up close and personal, you know, because they live here, of the changes that there have been. Slowly but surely, you know, we hope that, you know, South Beach will be the South Beach that everyone probably remembers.
Well, just participate a little bit more with all the environment here in Lincoln, the business environment, to let everybody, we not agreed with that situation, and I don't know what we need to do.
To vote, because, you know, if you don't vote, then, you know, you can't provoke change.
To have your voices heard, be sure to cast in your votes. From the North Shore Branch Library, I'm Milena Malaver for the South Florida Media Network.
Candidates are making their closing arguments and final appeals with just 5 days out before the high-stakes midterm elections. The network's Juliana Narvaez from our DC Bureau is in Washington this morning.
With control of both chambers of Congress and dozens of governorships on the line, several battleground states are under the microscope. With more than 24 million votes already casted in 46 states, all eyes are on Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and Pennsylvania.
Anything that's important to you, this is the year you can make a difference.
Arizona's polls are tilting Democratic, with incumbent Senator Mark Kelly up about 3 points over Republican Blake Masters. Nevada is looking at a close toss-up race between Republican Adam Laxalt and Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto. Democrat John Fetterman lost a large advantage over Mehmet Oz in a close race for Pennsylvania. His lead is now up by only 1 point. And in the swing state of Georgia, polls are also looking at a close race between incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican Herschel Walker. In Florida, Republican incumbent Senator Marco Rubio is up 7 points against Democratic Representative Val Demings. Democrats are looking to win 3 of the 4 seats to maintain control of the Senate, while Republicans only need 2 of the 4 to flip it to their side. From Washington, D.C. for the South Florida Media Network, this is Juliana Narvaez.
Revenge Week continues for the Miami Heat, hosting a team that just defeated Miami on the road.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
At some point, as I've said in the last 2 press conferences, it will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases.
The Federal Reserve taking action once again on fears of inflation. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music.
Yeah.
Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
Inflation fears driving the most recent decision by the Federal Reserve. This morning, the U.S. Federal Reserve raised interest rates to handle the rising inflation.
As the world watches the market, more concern circles the decision. Members of the Federal have been suggested further hikes in interest rates to further curb inflation.
At some point, as I've said in the last 2 press conferences, it will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases as we approach the level of interest rates that will be sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation down to our 2% goal.
This is the 6th time in a row the Federal Reserve has raised its benchmark interest rate. For consumers, this means higher borrowing costs. One positive outcome is your savings could earn little money after years of little to no interest.
The Miami Heat feeling like royalty after playing the Sacramento Kings right here at home. After losing the first game against the Kings in Sacramento, Miami was able to start the fire for redemption here at home. And the game was neck and neck throughout all 4 quarters, but Miami was able to take the win with a 3-pointer, and the final score was Kings 107, Heat 110. The Heat will play tomorrow in an away game against the Indiana Pacers at 7 p.m.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Paloma Pimentel.
And I'm Kenya Cardone. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.